You shouldn't pour oils down the sink drain, you shouldn't talk politics at family dinner, and I probably shouldn't review the competition after spending a half an hour on the freeway with it, because this is going to sound a lot more biased than it was supposed to. You already know that I love this car, and if you don't, welcome to Patterson Autos. I'm Omar, and this is the all-new 25 CX-50 Hybrid by Mazda. Today, we're comparing it against the competition. I can't believe that I'm saying that, because after having driven it, there really is no competition. But this is the RAV4 Hybrid. And this might be a bit of a controversial video because the CX-50 Hybrid does use the Toyota hybrid system, which would lead you to believe that it's maybe the same car that looks a bit different, but the differences are more vast than you would think. So let's explore that, see what you like. First, let's hop right into aesthetics, which I understand are subjective, but so's people's taste in music, and there are some people out there that think that country music's where it's at. This RAV4 is in its 5th generation, and it is the best looking RAV4. However, it's been around since 2019, so the design is a bit dated. Admittedly, this is a 2022 model year, it's pre-owned that we had on the lot, but the 2025 will look largely unchanged. Toyota's using a lot of hard angles and sharp lines to give it a more aggressive look and lead you to believe that there's something more to offer there, but this is still a very generic design in my book. The CX-50, however, features smooth, flowing lines that were hand-carved out of a real clay model by a skilled craftsman, pouring their soul into that motion. And that's what Kodo means, soul of motion. That Kodo design evokes the CX-50's aggressiveness by giving it a wide stance, featuring these bulbous fenders and small accents like these huge sporty vents, and this very dimensional grille. You gotta appreciate it from this angle. That wider stance gives you better stability off-road, and its longer wheelbase is going to give you a better ride quality for you and your passengers. So yes, aesthetics are subjective, but in this case it's not just about looks. Those slight changes will change your driving experience. One last detail that I want to point out is that when you open the back door to both cars, the tire is not exposed in the CX-50 where it is on the RAV4. I'm going to give Toyota the head start here and open up the CX-50's power liftgate next, and still beat it. Starting with the tailgate test, I've always loved the CX-50 because of this pretty ideal height. You can perch yourself up here, hang out, and the ledge is nice and flat, so you can slide things in and out, no problem. The RAV4 is gonna be very similar. It has that same flat ledge, sits a little bit lower. Can't really say anything bad about it, but while we're here, let's talk about cargo space. This RAV4 actually wins in cargo space. Only on paper though. It's about 9 cubic feet more, but they gain it in height, which you typically don't use, right? I mean, you're gonna be bringing a cooler, your duffel bag, your bags, whatever. You're not gonna be filling things all the way up to the roof. So while on paper, it looks like the CX-50 has less space, you get more length, and those wheel wells aren't cutting into your cargo space like they do on the RAV4. A couple of wins that I do want to point out for the CX-50 are that the RAV4's release for the back seat are right on the shoulder so that you can send that flat if you need to. On the CX-50, you have those releases so that you can access it from the front, but you also get these releases right here, so you don't have to reach all the way ahead. Not everybody's gonna have long arms like I do. You also get these little hooks for your bags so that your groceries don't spill everywhere. Let's get inside, starting with the RAV4. You ever get in an Uber with a backseat so uncomfortable that you can't wait until you get to your destination so you can start enjoying a better life? Okay, maybe that was a little harsh, but in all honesty, the RAV4's backseat is one of my least favorite that I've sat on. As you can see, most of my bottom is not supported. I don't know what kind of body dimensions this was built around, but this makes it uncomfortable to where I feel like I'm kind of falling forward, and the seat back's not that bad. Oh, before I get out, I do want to point out this back seat has more headroom on paper, but who needs this? You wouldn't think that a back seat's that hard to get right, but this is a world of difference. The seat's nice and supportive, your dimensions are right. I mean, if a friend had to take me cross country and I forgot to call shotgun, I would not be disappointed. This is nice and sturdy and a bit wider, so I'm comfortable. Oh, and here's that lower roofline. A bit lower indeed because of that panoramic moonroof, still not a problem for me. To the front of the RAV4. Driving ergonomics in the RAV4 are fairly decent. I was actually able to find a pretty good driving position where I could go on a road trip if I needed to. But I want to point out that the seat back is so broad and concave that it feels like my back is sinking into it. Not the bottom, it does have lumbar support and it does a fine job with that, but the top of my back feels like it would get uncomfortable after a while. As far as the cockpit experience, I can't say too many nice things. This is a very busy interior that took me a bit to familiarize myself with before I was comfortable enough to drive the car. Buttons are in weird places. For example, your traction control off button is right here next to your heated seats, which you want to make sure you're not hitting the wrong one. And down here is your drive mode selector cluster situation. You get a button for trail, a button for EV mode, a center button for normal, but this dial is what's going to help you get between eco and sport. It's too complicated. It really feels like they designed this whole assembly and then assigned the buttons a function. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is a 2022 RAV4 hybrid, and admittedly, a newer model with a higher trim is going to have a big screen for infotainment to handle Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. This doesn't have that, but it's still only going to be a touchscreen, where the CX-50 has a better solution. Let's go over there. Okay, hang on. One nice thing I do have to say, I really like the sandwich pocket. Hey Mazda, give me a sandwich pocket in the CX-50. This is already a more peaceful experience. Definitely for me, maybe for you even, just looking at it on your screen. You know when you go to your friend's house and it's that one friend who's like really clean, they're classy, they have really good taste, and everything's dialed everywhere all the time? This is that experience. It feels like it was crafted around me, it's a welcoming environment, and it makes me want to drive it for a long time. Obviously, this is a much more clean design, not as busy, more premium materials where it doesn't feel like everything's hard plastic and it doesn't feel like it's trying too hard. The added width definitely enhances comfort, and you feel a bit more headroom and legroom. The seat can also sit a little bit lower than in the RAV4, which is something that I definitely favor. Okay, enough romanticism. This just feels like a better cabin. You get a bit more headroom and a bit more legroom, thanks to the seat sitting a bit lower when you want it to, which I definitely favor. Now, the center console also sits a bit lower, which means although the driver keeps their own space, you're not alienating the passenger, so you can really share that experience if you're on a road trip. And even though Mazda went with a very clean design here, all of the features that you want to access are still within reach without adding clutter. Down here in the center console, we have a prime example of Mazda really cleaning up design. This Mazda Intelligent Drive Switch is a simple rocker that lets you select between power, normal, and trail mode, where I had to solve a puzzle in the RAV4 and that made me upset. Behind the shifter, which we'll come back to, is the commander switch, which is the CX-50's better solution to the infotainment controls than having just a touchscreen as you saw in the RAV4. From that angle, I just wanted to show you that we have a wireless charger that's here, tucked in, out of the way, just doing its job. And from there, I want to point out the only thing that I have to complain about on this CX-50 hybrid, and that is the shifter. It's not the same shifter that we have in the other CX-50s. There's something that just feels a little... It came from the RAV4. I can't wait until they change that. So there you have it. One man's opinion of a bestseller that holds its value for I don't know what reason, and a work of art that shares the same very dependable powertrain. So maybe there's something that I'm missing on the RAV4 and you can tell me in the comments, but for the money, I don't need to tell you, there is a right answer here. If you're ready to experience one yourself, come visit us at Tustin Mazda or Huntington Beach Mazda, where we'll be happy to take excellent care of you and hopefully save you years of regret. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so you can catch my comparison test drive, which we're going to crank out right now. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.